Oh, hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. How are you? What is today? Tuesday. I'm super excited. Actually, I'm really honored to have Judge Andrew Bain is with us. And we are going to talk about, I love this topic, faithful to the law, fair to all. Re-election is coming up in August. So he is here to share his journey and his thought process on what's going on in our community and maybe what he does, what his passion is. And so I'm very honored and excited to have you on the show, Judge Bain. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I think it's so amazing because I'm always amazed when public servants want to come on a show, but I think it's so important because then you're connecting with the people in your community. And so for you to do that, to take the time, to come on my whatever the lowest rated Facebook live show on the planet. No, but thanks to Allie McCarroll, by the way, for setting this up. Big kudos to her. Enough about me. Let's talk about you. So we talked about origin story before we went live, and I would love to learn more about you. I want to know your background. I think the audience loves to know, how did you get from point A, a kid, to being a judge?
It was an unplanned road, we'll call that.
It usually is.
It was really unplanned. I grew up in South Florida. I did everything that a kid my age did at that time. Played outside, played basketball, played all the sports except football because I was too big to play in Pop Warner.
Oh, Pop Warner.
And Pop Warner football. I was too big to play Pop Warner football. My dad was my pastor down there in Fort Lauderdale, so I grew up as a pastor's kid. And so I met doing a lot of church services and leading worship and being a janitor, being the lawn man.
You served every role you could.
Being everywhere, usher, anything you could in that role. And then I got an opportunity to play football finally when I was in high school because then there was no weight requirements then.
No, then you're like, okay, we want you.
Yeah, exactly. I ended up playing, becoming an All-American. We won a state championship my senior year in high school, and then I got a full scholarship to go to the University of Miami.
Nice.
I went there. I majored in psychology. I have a degree in African American studies and a minor in business law. Which at the University of Miami was the first time I really got a chance to speak with a lawyer because I was a scholar athlete. There was a academic advisor, one of my tutors, said, "You're going to take this class," which happens to most athletes because you're not in charge of your schedule when you are.
You are not. That's for
when you
sure.
are a student athlete, so you kind of go wherever they tell you to go. So that was the first opportunity I ever had to speak with a lawyer. Was when I was in undergrad, because when I grew up in Fort Lauderdale and Lauderdale Lakes, I went to school in Pompano Beach for high school. There were no lawyers to speak of, to talk to. Unless something negative was happening.
What was intriguing about that conversation? Because obviously that must have been the catalyst or part of the catalyst for you to want to be in law, to get into the legal field.
Well, the really crazy thing to me that I think is still mind-blowing to today, the reason why I love the law, is because the law affects everything about your life. Every single thing about his life. Like, this very fancy, nice shirt, and my friend to our right is
I don't know what he's talking about.
It's very well dressed, man. To these flowers in the background, to the access to anything that you have in your daily life is controlled by a regulation or a law. Yes. And because of that, that's just a mind-blowing perspective to me. That for somebody that thought that from a place that had little to no control over their environment to thinking about a situation where you can start controlling and understanding and really starting to work inside of the laws and regulations that control your life was
it's a big eye opener,
yeah, it's
right?
a big eye opener.
How do you decide? So my son is a law student. So there's all sorts of law. I think people go, oh, I'm going to law school. And then the outside people don't realize that there's still specialties. There's still things. It's not every lawyer is not the same. Every arena is not the same. How did you decide what path you wanted to take?
It kind of chose me. I was a law student. I went to Florida A&M College of Law, which is downtown Orlando.
Yes.
And where I went to school there, I just excelled in everything at the time trial. I was on trial team. I scored the highest grade in evidence and criminal law. I did well in criminal procedure as well, and all the things that said you should be a criminal lawyer. And so that's what happened. I kind of fell into that when I left Florida A&M, and I got hired by Jeff Ashton, who was the state attorney at the time. And I was kind of went from there at that point. And
but criminal, right? So criminal, tell them a little bit about that, because we all have our TV versions and all of us are TV doctor and attorney. I mean, ask me anything about Law and Order, SVU, and I got you. But in reality, it's a different world. So criminal defense.
No, I was a prosecutor.
You were prosecutor.
Yes,
all right. Talk about that, because that is that's even more fascinating to me.
Yeah. Well, as a prosecutor, your job is to do justice. That was my job when I was employed as a prosecutor. And that brings about a lot of weight. So a lot of people think that, it's about defending or like the state after you. My job is to if I have bring a case against someone, that I can prove that case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes.
That case is strong enough to withstand constitutional challenges under our Fourth or Fifth or Sixth Amendment, which is, right, like searches and the right to have an attorney, the right to remain silent, all those kind of things like that. That my case can withstand all of those things and be able to bring a case to a jury that would be that can prove. So a lot of times that means that a lot of cases you get on your desk, you can't prove.
It must be a challenge.
It may look good, it may sound good, but they violated the person's Fourth Amendment right, or they violated the person's Fifth Amendment right. They could confess to this, crazy crime, but as a prosecutor, you have to say, I can't move forward.
Where they read their Miranda rights.
Yeah, that was some simple. Those kind of things. Where they read Miranda, and were they in custody when they did it? Did they make a statement after the person was already locked in into the into this like seizure or custodial interrogation? Those kind of legal words that we use in the law. But those things are what you do as a prosecutor. And then I got recruited about almost 7 years into doing that by a couple of judges to apply to be a judge.
It's amazing. So, what's that process like? Because I think a lot of people don't understand what a judge does, like what area a judge because there's different judges. You've got family court judge, right? Explain a little bit about that, because tell them what you do as our current judge, Andrew Bain. I said brain because that's where my brain is right now.
Insane in the brain.
Insane in the brain.
Yes. So I am currently a county court judge, which I am assigned to what is called the civil division. When I got appointed, I was in the criminal division. We talked about that. We handle criminal division misdemeanors. If you got a traffic ticket, if you're driving too fast, license is suspended, those kind of things like that. We handle those type of cases in the misdemeanor criminal court. And then we had a specialized jail division where I was the judge you saw after you got arrested. So I was that judge for about a year. And then now I'm in the county civil division, which handles any claim or disputes you have with somebody where the claim or dispute is under $30,000. So that is where I do most of my work. We also handle landlord-tenant cases for both residential and commercial. And some other specialized things, but that's mainly what we do. So, and a lot of my job is kind of like this you see on TV, doing people's court. So that's there's something
so.
That's part of my job.
I think a lot of people are excited by that because you get to see what's going on. It's not some of the most popular shows are shows where the judges are on and they're divvying up justice. They're giving their rulings, and I think it sort of does work a little bit like TV says it does, but I know that when you're enmeshed in the community, and that's what I want to ask you, you're in it, you're here. What's that like? Do you get stopped on the street and say, hey, judge, what about this? Or do people know you from the rulings that you've done?
I'm not sure they know me from the rulings that I've done. They maybe know me from some of the community interaction that I've had, like I also teach law now at the law school at FAMU. I'm also out in the community doing various things, mentoring and those kind of things. So they may have seen me doing that, and then now they say, "Oh, I know that's a judge. Let me go talk to him," or they saw me on social media or on a TV show with Ted. And
I'm sorry, you're going to stop bottom right now.
They're going to stop me and say, "Hey, judge, what about this and what about that?" And The only unfortunate thing for them is that I can't give them any legal advice. So I just try to usually like what I do in court anyways. I try to inform people about what the law is. And then, I mostly they tell them you may want to talk to somebody that's a skilled attorney or has somebody at least has some kind of specialized knowledge to kind of help you navigate a lot of complex situations.
Well, it's complex, right? So let's talk about a little bit about being on the bench. When you're there, is every case cut and dry for you? Is it difficult sometimes to go, wow, I really need to weigh the law out with what I'm feeling? Because that must be a difficult thing to separate the two.
Yeah, sometimes it's cut
because you're human.
Yeah, sometimes it's cut and dry. One of the toughest things I do right now is like I said, I do landlord tenant, so I have to evict people from their home. That is a tough thing for the court to do personally, but I took an oath like when I started this job in 2020 to follow the law and uphold our Constitution and all those kind of things like that. So, I can't break my promise I made to you all, the people in Orange County, because of my personal feelings. So that's a big problem in it for every judge. Sometimes your personal beliefs don't match up with what the law says.
Because you have a heart, you have a soul, you are in the community. I know that must be a challenge, but faithful to the law is part of this and fair to all. Have you, how long have you been a judge? Since 2020?
Yes.
So tell me about the process of re-election. It's coming up August. Is it every 2 years? How does that work in the system? Because I think a lot of people think, well, the governor appoints all judges or the president appoints the federal judges. But in this case, you're actually an elected official.
Correct. So what happens is when there's a retirement in the middle of a judge's term, which is a term of 6 years, the Constitution of the state of Florida says the governor has to appoint somebody to replace that judge. And so that's what happened to me. Judge Nancy Clark retired, and the governor appointed me to fill her position. And then you have to run into the next cycle to be retained by the people. Yes. So that's what's going on right now. I'm up for retention. I'm up to be elected by the people. And then after that election, another 6-year term. And then I'll be asking for the same thing in 6 years.
You love it that much. So I guess that's the thing, the passion for it. Why is there such a passion for it? When you, at the end of the day, are you mentally and physically and soulfully exhausted? And even if you are you still invigorated and thrilled with the law and still love and have a passion for the law?
Yeah, it's like any relationship, I call it, with the law.
You have a relationship with
the law. And so some days you love it. I mean, for most days, I love my job. I love the law. I love to, be involved in that system because I've said it before, our constitutional system provides so much liberty and so many freedoms that you don't have in a lot of different countries and a lot of different areas. So it provides so much for people to voice their opinion, to go to Tallahassee or go to the Orange County mayor's office or go to Washington and change laws, elect people, all those kind of things. Elections. This is elections in general, something that some countries don't have.
That's correct.
Or they say they have an election. There's a tank outside to make sure you vote for the right person.
That's right.
So that is that's the biggest thing. But then sometimes they have just some hard days. Some days that are, especially when I was at the jail for a year, there were some hard days where you're looking at sometimes really young people accused of doing really terrible things to other really young people. And then, and other to children and to, other helpless people. And it's just, those kind of facts kind of just start weighing on, do weigh on you. And then just like I said before, I get letters from tenants telling me, I have 5 kids and, the housing market is crazy, which it is crazy. The rental market is crazy. I can't afford to leave where I am, but it's just that. It's nothing I can do.
The law is set up for the rules.
Yeah.
And as a judge, you've got a little bit of leeway, but when it comes to the law and the letter of the law, you have to follow it. And I think that is, I would imagine as a human being, sometimes those stories and those situations, because you're right, the housing market, especially if you're dealing with evictions, It is a tough world out there. I'm in the real estate world as a mortgage guy, and I just know people are suffering. They're having a difficult time finding affordable housing, let alone keeping the housing that they have, because the alternative is the streets. It's a very crazy world to be. All right, tell them, see how fast it goes?
Yeah.
Tell them how they can get involved in your campaign. They want to learn more about you. How can they reach out and ask questions? What's the best way? Because this is the great thing about the show, is you have a human being who happens to be a judge on the show. And so what you want to do is, if you have questions, if you're interested in what's going on, you want to learn more about Judge Bain and what he represents and what he's done. He's reachable. This is just as wonderful to talk to you as he is right here with me on the show. So what's the best way?
So you can obviously go to judgebain.com. That's probably where you can get the most information. You can connect to all my social media, to my Facebook, to my Instagram. So Instagram at Judge Bain. You can go on to, I believe also on Facebook. It's called Keep Judge Bain. You can email me at info@judgebain.com. You can sometimes you can reach out to me in my regular role as capacity as an Orange County judge, and I always try to help wherever I can. If you have any concerns, questions, I can't give you legal advice, but I can try to educate you about what's going on and what's going on at the courthouse, what's going on in your community, what's going to be affecting you as the Orange County citizen from what's happening at the courthouse. And we provide, I try to provide as much access as I can. That's one of my main goals, is to be as transparent as possible about the process, as transparent about what's going to happen when you get to court. So if you go to the9circuit.org, you have a case in front of me. You find my big face somewhere on the website. You'll find my big face under the judges, and then I try to on that page I try to provide as much information as I can to people that are self-represented, so they can try to navigate this system.
Yes.
And it's sometimes it's tough, and we have to help in ways we can, but that's my main goal, for you all to be as transparent, so that transparency to me equals fairness. So that's so if we're able to be transparent, then the lawyers may have a training and a little bit of knowledge over you, but at least on the process you'll be understanding about what's going on, and so you can defend yourself or get what you want, and those kinds of things. You'll be in a better position to do that. I can't guarantee you that's going to happen, but what's great
about what you said, I feel like people don't realize that a judge like Judge Bain, this is important in the community. You may think that you're not touched by this, but they are all part of the process and the organization. It is super important for you to be engaged with your elected officials. And what Judge Bain does is opens up the door. You can ask him questions, no legal advice. You can reach out to him. You can learn more about his campaign. And that's what I want to encourage all of our voters, all of our community to know this, because you may think I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm never going to deal with that. And I want to tell you, the minute you say that, you are going to find some sort of challenge. I think most people have been challenged from a legal perspective in one way, shape, or form, and how wonderful it is for someone to be committed to the law and making sure it's fair and actually divvying up justice based on the law. Don't you want to know those people like Judge Bain? Because I think it's so critical. All right, go to judgebain.com, reach out to him. Just as amazing and caring and compassionate as you see him here. I know that's how he will be with you. And get out and vote. The vote for this is August 2022. You can find it on Judge Bain's site. You can find it on my site too. Get involved. You have questions, reach out to me, reach out to Judge Bain. Know what's going on with your local community and your local elected officials. It's so critical for you. Trust me, you make a difference when you make a vote and you get involved and you get educated. So thank you so much for spending time with me. Again, a shout out to Allie McCarroll. She's amazing with Allie Mac Consulting. Thank you for the introduction. But Judge Bain, come back on anytime. We still have time between now and August. You want people you can connect with, and regardless of whatever your belief system is, you want to know your elected officials, and Judge Bain is here to kind of open that door up. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you all.
Looking forward to seeing you guys. Get out and vote. Go to judgebain.com. I know you want to learn more.